Be prepared.
She is.
Oh my gosh.
There it is.
Orange Theory
That's
could
what
be
we were
our
waiting for.
Orange Theory could be our sponsor. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They should be.
Yes, they should be. They should be paying us for all the times that you talk about Orange Theory. I'm so excited for this season. And so
we can tell.
You can? Can you
Yes.
tell? Are you being facetious?
No, we can.
Okay, so I was going to say it's been a hot minute since we've been on screen together, and it has. And the last time we were together, we were in person.
Yes.
Which makes me think of, the most beautiful listeners in the world, which our listeners are.
Oh, totally.
How fun was it to engage with our listeners?
Oh my gosh.
Totally. Yeah.
It was the greatest.
Yeah.
It was the greatest. Yeah.
It was.
It was.
I mean,
and so I'm just saying for all of you who weren't there, like, come next year.
Come next year. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
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 Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
So just so that we're clear, what we're telling you to come to next year is our annual Connections Conference, which is sponsored by the Center for Being Known, and we do a live podcast there as part of the program. And next year we're doing it again as a 2-day conference. And oh my gosh, we somehow we've got to share some testimonials from the 2 days because you know, all I'm hearing is just amazing things that people have experienced in those 2 days. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's no, like, the Spirit was in that building and on the move, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't just mean in the space where, you know, where it was happening, like out in the hallways where the sponsors had their tables set up and where, like, you could just, you sense the work of the Spirit in all these conversations that were taking place that then just poured out into the parking lot that we would then hear about the next day when people would come in about the conversations they had with their confessional communities that they were meeting for the first time, all these.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So Kurt, you said that it wasn't part of our application. Maybe it was, but to be aware of the story that we're writing about Rupture, and and a couple of things that both of you said made me think. Okay, I don't fully or even understand the work of this and what it's not simply you ruptured. There was a rupture that you created, and I want to rip that. It is like when you said to Pep, when you brought up the rupture with your boss, that it triggered you. You were inviting her to do the work that was your work. I mean, not your work, but you know what I mean? It was your history, so it's this collaboration.
Yep.
And like that could be a reason to not share a rupture, was because you're aware of a trigger. Like, this is mine. I own this. Why would I bring it up to you? And then it makes me think of when we worked together, the three of us did some rupture repair. And Kurt, while you were sharing something, you said, I understand what happened. Like, I understand the rupture. It makes great sense to me. And yet we talked about it. And so those would all be, so those would be the reasons to not share it. Like, I understand it. So why would I share it?
Yeah. Yeah. Why don't I just go to my own, private room in my mind and just do this by myself? And, some of our attachment work shows up in these moments too, because for many of our listeners, if you've grown up in homes where nobody repaired ruptures, like, it doesn't even occur to you that you could repair the rupture. You don't even think consciously, oh, there was a rupture.
This is what we do.
It's not going to be repaired. Like, you're not even thinking that consciously of it. You're just automatically living as if it won't be repaired. And so then you have to burn the energy to contain the distress that you feel, but that you have, you've created a room where all that stuff goes. Just goes there automatically on a conveyor belt. But over time, eventually, that is going to start to show up in all kinds of psychiatric symptoms, behaviors, all kinds of things. It's going to show.
Right. Like it'll come out sideways and we won't understand it. It'll just feel bad, feel really bad.
Right.
Yeah. And this, like being aware of our rupture experience, it's like I imagine, okay, if you were to grow up in a home where ruptures were repaired, this would be more natural. But if we weren't, then it's like, well, no, how do we do it? Why do we do it? And that's where confessional communities, where you get to practice this, it's like this is where we get to practice it.
Yeah.
And we get to be clumsy.
Yeah, oh gosh. So I may have shared this story before in some previous season and episode, but my kids were probably, I don't know, 14 and 11. My daughter was 14, maybe 13. Our son's maybe 10. And it was a day in which I was in charge of getting a meal ready for the evening. And they were old enough to help me, like really help me with things, like setting the table or whatever. And Phyllis was going to be coming home later, and I don't know what she was thinking. She trusted me to get the thing ready. She's out of her mind, and so anyway, we're the bottom line is, I'm the adult, I'm the parent in the house, and I started the prep work late. And so I'm probably like 10 to 15 minutes at least behind the 8 ball relative to when Phyllis comes in. And of course, this is not going to look good because, it's like the classic story of, whatever. So anyway, I'm feeling the urgency because I started the process late, and my kids each had a role that they were playing and so forth. And I barked at Nathan, who's like 10 or 11. I barked at Nathan about him, like chop, get on with something, and like complaining to him about what he was not doing like effectively enough or whatever. I mean to tell you what, my daughter Rachel stops me and she says, "Dad, I don't think Nathan's doing anything wrong. I think you're upset because you didn't start this process on time."
Oh my gosh.
The woman who now is a 34-year-old is a pastor in Nashville, right. And she was already being trained to like how to discipline parishioners, right? She's already like trained. This is good pastoral training work, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're right.
Oh my gosh!
Like what a gift.
Yeah, and right. Well, maybe
14-year-old daughter.
Gift was not the first word that was coming to my mind in the moment.
Right.
I was, like gift this young lady, and but it's kind of like, my gosh. I mean, like we raised you to do this. Daggone it.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Yeah.
And and so like I had like, you're right. You're right. I screwed this up. And the thing is, it's not just a rupture between me and Nathan.
Yeah.
It's an impending rupture between me and my wife because I was right. Because I see all the ruptures. I see all the ruptures for which I am now solely responsible. But I'm also barking at my son in my daughter's earshot. Mm-hmm. So it's like the rupture isn't just with him. I don't just have a repair to make with him. I got a repair with her. Mm-hmm. Like, you're right. I'm blaming your brother for something that is my responsibility because I'm afraid that your mom's going to be upset with me when she and you're right, and you saw like all like the right, all because we're trying to train our children up, to train them up in the way of the Lord, so that when they're old they will not depart from it. Daggone it. And these things happen, but to your point, that if we don't, and now, thanks be to God. I mean, for what I am aware of, they are people who they're quick. They keep short accounts, and they get after it, and they like if something, and it's still like with us, even with us when it happens. But they tell stories about with their friendships and so forth, and they tell stories of how their friends, their young adult friends, like don't know what to do.
Yeah.
When one of the two of them come to say, "Hey, I need to talk about what happened yesterday in that conversation." Right? Yeah. Yeah, they're and now as they're like adult professional versions of what they were like in my kitchen when they were 14 and 11. They're forces to be reckoned with, and yet they also report that when they have these conversations with their friends, that their friends are they're always surprised. Because it's like it's because they're Nathan and Rachel, like, they don't let people off the mat. They don't let them run into the shadows. I mean, like, if they do, they might. You can't stop them if they're not willing to. They've had those conversations too, where people are not willing to stay in the room and do the repair work. More like Adam and Eve, they're going to run into the woods when God comes calling. But I think it's also, they've been examples to me of what it means to be people who look for repairs to rupture in their worlds.
And I love the imagining what this work will look like, imagining that we have permission to do this work and permission to be clumsy. And
yeah. And for all of our parents out there who, like, again, when we do parent work with folks, we say, look, your kids, we've said this here before, the only way that you don't screw up your kids is just don't ever have them. And your kids are like, they don't need you to be perfect. They need you to take initiative. They need you to be people of loving kindness. They need you to be mindful, not perfectly so. And they need you to be able to repair ruptures. That's what they need. Look, in this world, you will have ruptures. Like, ruptures are part of the deal. We live as if, like, somehow I can arrange my life. I'm going to arrange my life in such a way that, like, I'll never have them. And so that, like, it feels like an aberration when I do. Like, no, in this world, like, that's the real world we live in. And when we repair ruptures with our children that we've created, look, they're already in distress when we've done it. But when we come for them, we let them know that, like, oh my goodness, you can have something distressing happen and you live to tell about it. And you can find joy on the other side of this. And you begin to construct a remembered future in which, when hard things happen, those hard things become opportunities for even greater connection, deeper joy. Yeah. There'll be more we'll say about all that as we move forward.
Yeah.
good.
It is going to be a great season. Already is.
Yeah.
I'm excited. All right. Anything else, Amy? I didn't
All
want
right,
to cut you
guys.
off.
Nope,
Okay.
you didn't. It's great.
All right.
I'm excited.
Man.
It's great to be with
Love
you
you
guys.
guys.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Next time.